In the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. There's a moment in every person's life when the path splits. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or flashing signs. It usually arrives quietly, disguised as an ordinary day. But make no mistake, what you decide in that moment can echo through the next 5 years of your life. Mission is not what's going to happen to you. Life is going to happen. The question is, what are you going to choose? One choice, when made with awareness, can pull you out of stagnation, out of distraction, out of being busy but going nowhere. It can put you back in the driver's seat of your life. We tend to believe life changes in giant leaps, but more often it changes in small, deliberate steps made by those who are tired of staying the same. 5 years from now, you could be healthier, wealthier, wiser, and more fulfilled, or more frustrated, bitter, and resentful. The difference? One conscious choice. Maybe it's the decision to stop blaming. Maybe it's choosing to read instead of scroll. Maybe it's choosing to wake up an hour earlier and work on yourself before the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. It won't look glamorous at first. Growth rarely does. But the payoff is exponential. Every 5-year transformation story, whether it's financial, physical, mental, or spiritual, begins with one moment of clarity followed by one act of courage, and that courage often looks like responsibility. You see, there are two kinds of people, those who wait for life to happen and those who choose to happen to life. If you're waiting for motivation, you've already surrendered your future to chance. But if you're ready to choose, to decide, then life bends in your favor, not because it's easy, but because you're finally in alignment with your purpose. Think about this. If someone handed you a detailed summary of your next 5 years and you saw disappointment, regret, or missed opportunities, would you keep doing what you're doing now? If not, what would you change today? Maybe the biggest trap isn't failure. Maybe it's drifting, doing okay but not great, being comfortable but not alive. That's how 5 years vanish. Not in catastrophe, but in quiet compromise. Books like Atomic Habits remind us that small actions compound. A tiny change in direction today, made consistently, shifts your destination completely. That workout you skip, that call you avoid, that book you don't read, they don't feel like much today. But give it 5 years, the result is either a harvest or a famine. And it's not just about goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who can carry them. Your future doesn't just need hustle. It needs healing, it needs focus, it needs inner work. That's the hidden choice. No one stumbles into their best life. They choose it, day by day, decision by decision. They say yes to the hard things, the quiet work, the invisible victories. They say no to distraction, to comparison, to numbing themselves with things that offer short-term pleasure and long-term pain. 5 years is enough time to build a new business, earn a degree, restore your health, reconnect with God, deepen your relationships, and reinvent yourself. But it starts with one thing, choice. Not a wish, not a vague hope, a choice. What will you tolerate? What will you no longer ignore? What will you give your time, energy, and attention to? Let me be honest with you. No one is coming to rescue. That version of yourself you dream of, you're the only one who can build it. And it starts when you stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start asking, what if I don't try? The clock is ticking either way. So what is the one choice that will determine your next 5 years? It's the choice to live on purpose. It's the decision to stop reacting and start designing, to stop drifting and start directing, to stop waiting and start becoming. Because 5 years from now, your future self will either thank you or wish you had decided today. The power of intentional decision-making is vastly underestimated in a world addicted to speed, convenience, and noise. Most people drift through their days unaware that each moment holds the potential to redirect their entire life. Not by accident, not by luck, not by outside rescue, but by one simple, deliberate choice. The kind of choice that doesn't scream for attention, but whispers a question that only the courageous dare to answer. What do you really want, and what are you willing to do to align with it? Every life-changing story begins with a decision, one that was made with clarity, focus, and purpose. It could be the decision to walk away from a toxic relationship, to stop numbing yourself with distractions, to begin learning again after years of mental stagnation, or to finally face the uncomfortable truth that you've been holding yourself back. These decisions don't always feel heroic when they're made. Often, they feel terrifying. They come with uncertainty. They invite discomfort. But in their silent weight, they hold the power to pivot your future. Intentional decision-making isn't about choosing once and being done. It's about choosing daily and knowing why. It's understanding that the most successful, fulfilled people in the world aren't necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who decided who they wanted to become and then made every other decision through that lens. That kind of clarity brings power. It eliminates distractions. It silences doubt. Because when you know where you're going, saying no to what doesn't serve you is no longer a struggle. It's a necessity. One of the most dangerous lies we tell ourselves is, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week, then next month, then next year, and without even realizing it, you wake up in a version of your life you didn't choose. A life shaped by default, not design. That's the cost of indecision. That's the risk of waiting. Time keeps moving whether you choose or not. Think about it. One decision can end years of confusion. One decision can break a cycle you've been trapped in for a decade. One decision can shift your energy, your relationships, your income, your health, your mindset. And yet, how often do we avoid making decisions because we're afraid of making the wrong one? But indecision is a decision to stay stuck, a decision to hand your future over to chance. People often think that big, sweeping actions are what change lives, but more often than not, it's a single turning point. A conversation you initiate, a new routine you adopt, a bad habit you eliminate, a mindset you abandon that quietly rewrites the trajectory of your story. Like a plane that shifts just 1 degree mid-ship. You may not see the difference immediately, but over time, it leads you to an entirely different destination. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Intentional decision-making isn't about knowing every outcome. It's about trusting the process and showing up with integrity. There's something sacred about the power of choice. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your response. That's where your real power lives. It's not in the economy. It's not in politics. It's not in the past or in other people. It's in your ability to decide again and again to rise above your excuses, to pursue growth over comfort, to say yes to purpose and no to everything that pulls you away from it. Some people will go 5 years without growth simply because they never made a firm decision to change. Not because they couldn't, but because they didn't, because they kept waiting for a sign, for permission, for motivation. But life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards boldness. It rewards clarity. It rewards those who move with intention. And here's what's even more powerful. When you make one bold decision, others begin to follow. Your courage creates momentum. You stop looking outside for validation and start building the confidence that only comes from doing the thing. You stop asking what the safest choice is and start asking what the most authentic choice is, because the truth is, authenticity is the compass that keeps you aligned. And every decision made from that place pulls you closer to the life you were meant to live. You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. And you'll never change what you do daily until you change how you decide. That's what intentionality does. It turns ordinary moments into transformative turning points. It replaces chaos with clarity. It replaces regret with responsibility. It replaces delay with direction. There are no neutral choices. Every decision either pushes you closer to your purpose or pulls you further from it. Every yes has a cost. Every no has a consequence. But when you make decisions rooted in vision, values, and purpose, you begin to build something solid, a future you can be proud of. So ask yourself, what is the one choice I've been avoiding? What is the one decision that if I made it today would ripple through every part of my life? Maybe it's not flashy. Maybe it's not exciting. But maybe, just maybe, it's the doorway to everything you've been praying for. And the beauty is this, you don't need anyone's permission to walk through it. You just have to choose. If you've ever felt like you're stuck in a loop, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, or feeling like you're capable of more but just can't seem to reach it, then it's time to take a deeper look at what surrounds you and what you repeatedly do. Because your future isn't built in dramatic moments or giant leaps. It's built quietly, invisibly in your environment and your habits. They are the soil and the seed of your life. Whether they're helping you grow or slowly draining your potential depends on one thing, your awareness and your willingness to make changes. Your environment is not just where you live, it's the space you occupy every day, physically, mentally, emotionally. It includes the people you talk to, the voices you listen to, the things you watch, the conversations you engage in, and the energy you absorb. If you're surrounded by negativity, laziness, or low standards, it's only a matter of time before it becomes normal to you. We adapt to our environment, often unconsciously. We begin to mirror it. And over time, what once felt uncomfortable becomes familiar. The danger isn't that you'll fail. The danger is that you'll slowly accept a watered-down version of your life and stop reaching for more. Every dream that has ever died didn't necessarily die because it wasn't possible. It often died because it couldn't survive the environment it was placed in. Think about that. You can have the greatest potential, the most powerful ideas, the deepest hunger for change, but if you plant yourself in toxic soil, nothing good can grow. If you're surrounded by people who settle, you'll start to settle. If you constantly consume content that distracts, numbs, or discourages, you're feeding your mind the very things that keep you from evolving. And then there are your habits. Those tiny, repeated choices you make when no one is watching. Your habits are either constructing the life you say you want, or they're eroding it day by day. The problem is that most people think their habits are neutral, but there's no such thing. Every habit you maintain, the way you speak to yourself, the way you use your time, how you start your mornings, what you do before bed, what you read or don't read, what you eat, how you move your body, how you respond to stress, it all adds up. If your habits are in conflict with your goals will lose. Every time. You can't say you want clarity and spend your day scrolling. You can't say you want peace and surround yourself with chaos. You can't say you want growth and avoid discomfort. Your life will always reflect your patterns more than your promises. And here's what most people miss. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's the brutal truth. You can write down your dreams 100 times. You can say affirmations in the mirror. But if your environment doesn't support your growth and your habits don't back your intentions, you're not going to move forward. You'll stay in a frustrating cycle of wishing for change, but not preparing for it. Books like The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits explain this well. Small changes done consistently in the right environment lead to massive transformation, not because you force a breakthrough, but because you created the conditions where progress could no longer be avoided. When your surroundings support you, when your routine fuels you, when your standards are higher than your excuses, that's when everything shifts. Most people try to change their life from the outside in. They chase results, outcomes, and applause, but change always starts from the inside out. It starts with building a life around you that makes the right choice, the easy choice. It starts with asking hard questions like, who am I spending time with? What am I tolerating? What am I doing every day that's keeping me where I am? Look around your room, your home, your phone, your schedule. What do they reflect? Is it intentional or accidental, empowering or distracting, helping you move or keeping you still? This isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. Because once you see what's holding you back, you can no longer pretend you don't know. And once you start taking control of your space and your habits, momentum kicks in. Confidence builds, and the results start showing up. Your future self is being built by the systems you have today. That version of you with more clarity, energy, peace, and success isn't born out of willpower. It's born out of structure. It's born out of choosing people, places, and practices that reflect the life you're aiming for, not the one you're trying to escape. If you want to change your life, don't just change what you do. Change where you do it, how you do it, and who you do it around. Create an environment where growth is the only option. Build habits so rooted in purpose that they run on autopilot. Because when your environment and habits align with your vision, success stops being a struggle and starts becoming inevitable. So if you've been feeling stuck, uninspired, or overwhelmed, don't ask what you're doing wrong. Ask what's around you and within your routine that's keeping you stuck. Ask what needs to be removed, what needs to be added, and what needs to be done differently. Because until you do, you'll keep trying to force a breakthrough in a system that was never designed to support it. And when you finally take ownership of that, your surroundings, your rituals, your standards, you stop waiting for life to change. You start becoming the kind of person who changes it, not just for 5 days, but for the next 5 years and beyond. Taking back control of your life begins with one of the most uncomfortable but powerful choices you'll ever make, choosing responsibility over comfort. At first, this may sound harsh. Responsibility is often misunderstood. It gets labeled as a burden, as something heavy. But the truth is, responsibility is not a weight you carry. It's a doorway you walk through. It is the single most empowering decision you can make because it places your life back into your hands. Comfort, for many, has become a silent prison. It lulls you into routines that feel safe but keep you stagnant. It convinces you to hit snooze one more time, to delay that important conversation, to escape into distractions rather than face the work that needs to be done. Comfort tells you that tomorrow will be a better day to start. And so life begins to shrink, not because the world is against you, but because you've stopped showing up for yourself. Responsibility flips that script. It's the voice that interrupts the pattern and says, no one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect circumstances, or the perfect motivation. It acts anyway. It's the difference between a life that is managed by circumstances and a life that is led by conviction. There's a quiet kind of freedom that comes when you stop blaming the world, your past, or other people and begin to own your responses, your choices, your effort. It doesn't mean you're responsible for everything that's happened to you, but you are responsible for what you do next. That mindset is what separates those who grow from those who coast. Comfort gives you short-term pleasure and long-term regret. Responsibility gives you short-term challenge and long-term transformation. One leads to cycles of escape. The other leads to the evolution of your character. And character, your discipline, your resilience, your ability to show up when it's hard, is what determines the direction of your life. There's a reason why so many people feel unfulfilled even when they have what they thought they wanted. Because the human spirit was not designed to live inside a comfort zone. We are built to expand, to rise, to contribute, to stretch. Comfort might give you peace for the moment, but responsibility gives you purpose for a lifetime. And here's where it gets real. Responsibility often shows up as doing the thing you least want to do, especially when no one's watching. It's calling yourself out on your excuses. It's having the self-respect to get up when you don't feel like it. People often think they lack motivation when in reality, they're lacking ownership. Once you own your life, your time, your energy, your priorities, you stop needing motivation. You act out of alignment with who you've decided to become. That's when change becomes sustainable. That's when your habits begin to reflect your values, not your moods. It's easy to blame, it's easy to point fingers, it's easy to say if only they supported me, or if only I had more time, or if only I caught a break. But the most successful people don't waste time on if only. They ask, what can I do with what I have right now? And then they do it imperfectly, consistently, relentlessly. You take back control by showing up fully in your life, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. You create your future by taking responsibility for the present. You become trustworthy in your own eyes, which is the foundation of confidence. Because when you keep your promises to yourself, you no longer need the world's validation. You've already earned your own. This is not about hustle culture or grinding yourself into exhaustion. It's about choosing the hard path because you know it leads somewhere meaningful. It's about refusing to let your potential be buried by comfort. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just dream of a better life, but builds one day by day, brick. And yes, that means sacrifice. It means saying no to what is easy so you can say yes to what is essential. It means making peace with temporary discomfort in exchange for permanent progress. It means growing up, not in age, but in mindset. Because maturity is realizing that discipline is a form of self-love, that showing up for yourself is not selfish, and that avoiding your responsibilities doesn't make them go away. It only delays your breakthrough. Responsibility is where true power lives. It's the foundation for every achievement, every relationship, every victory. It turns you from a passive participant into the architect of your destiny. It says no more waiting, no more blaming, no more shrinking. I will lead my life. I will own my choices. I will rise, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And when you live that way, something shifts. You stop fearing the future because you know you're creating it. You stop doubting yourself because you trust your process. You stop hiding behind excuses because you've built the courage to confront them. This is what taking control looks like. Not perfection, but participation. Not instant success, but intentional effort. It's the moment you stop running from your life and start running toward it. Fully, boldly, unapologetically. So if you want the next 5 years to look radically different from the last 5, don't chase comfort, chase growth, chase excellence, chase responsibility, because once you do, you'll look back and realize you didn't just change your habits, you changed who you are, and that changes everything.